Hello, my name is Aki, and I go by her, she. I think I had her. Anyway, I'm the director, for now, the director of graduate studies at Sculpture department. And I am going to share my screen and start my presentation. So that's me. That's how I'm spelled. And if you come here for 2 years, you're going to hear my accent. I'll start by program mission, and so this is like my little performance of how you can lose glasses. Here you go. This Department of Sculpture in the Yale School of Art. Oh my God, I cannot see it. Okay, it's clubbed sideways, so I will say we recognize the contemporary practice of sculpture is difficult to define by medium, process, or conceptual underpinnings. Therefore, we attempt to eschew styles and resist rigid definitions when working with graduate students. We think that to describe tomorrow's makers by yesterday's definition of art is to be avoided. And I am probably the yesterday's definition, but I will have my colleagues and guest critics and all that. So you could probably find the tomorrow's definition amongst and forward a little bit. So like maybe somewhere around here. So that's the kind of our mission, to not give you what to do, but rather to give you a lot of voice so that you will see your own voice that is tomorrow. We do not make easy reads of work in critique, but rather we attempt to tease out the material, historical, formal, and societal undercurrents that make up the work in front of us. So we believe in like things that we see the sculpture work together to talk about it. So it's not about ideas, but this is a program that pretty much talking and critiquing with the actual piece that you are making, not the past work, but the current work in front of us to talk. And we as a faculty and graduate students are interested in the panoply of modes of production and a multitude of histories. I think I read it right, panoply. It's a good word. Again, like just because those yesterday's voice I have is also not singular, right? Like everybody else, like my faculty and colleagues and students, we all come with different modes of production, and through admission, we really attempt to have that multitude already inherent in our community. So that would be like a focus of creating this environment already, and then talk about that multitudes. Now, I would like to introduce the core faculty. These are the people who are around the year round. This is an example of this academic year. I myself, and then I'm going to introduce some of us is here. So my colleague, Sandra, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sandra Burns. I'm the assistant director in Scupture.
So she and I are a team, and basically we run the game. But there's also other faculty, and I know Martin's in-house. So let's see, Martin, can you unmute? I think you are muted.
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Martin Kersels. I'm a faculty member. Been here around 12 years, and It's great to see so many here, and hi, Libby.
Thank you, Martin, for coming. I will also mention that there are two other full-time faculty who couldn't be here, but they are American artist and Desmond Lewis, and they both
Aki,
are
I think Desmond might be on with us.
Oh, really? Okay,
I think
let's
so.
hear you.
Desmond, are you here?
Oh, yeah, I see his, let me unshare. Desmond. Huh? Okay. When he comes, I will introduce. They are also a full-time faculty who will be likely part of our admission committee, and also, I mean, for sure, part of admission committee. And Desmond teaches courses like metal fabrication, about material and the material, like really housed, like a practice that's housed in the use of like fabrication shop. American taught a class about what like a cyber content influences for contemporary art. That will be a graduate seminar. But besides that, all five of us are present on the weekly critique, and then we make studio visits. So you will likely meet one of us at least a few times each semester, but also like throughout the group critiques and in the corridors also, and sometimes in street, which really like is really surprising when that happens. Sandra, would you introduce our critics?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is an example of our critics, and these are the sculpture faculty and critics for 2023 and 2024. And oftentimes we can align our weekly critiques to have a visit with one or two additional critics that join the core faculty. For an example, Joseph Buckley was with us yesterday. So give you a second to look at those names. Those change each academic year. Some people will repeat, and oftentimes we have new people come in as well.
Okay.
And you want me to go on to group critiques, Aki?
Let me just first explain the academic requirements, which Karin touched upon, so I'm not going to go into detail. But the only difference for a sculpture department is X-Crit, which is happens in the fall of both first year and second year. And that is like a sculpture department specific course that's required for you to take. And we can explain later, but that's a critique class. And then also thesis is in the second year, you are required to take that course with one of the faculties. And in the spring, you're going to be most likely focusing on elective courses, which is whatever you want, either in the School of Art or outside. And that's a course that's offered by Scupture department, but also from Yale School of Art and Yale at large. And that would probably be the bulk of your spring semester, especially first year. And then the second year thesis course also comes with your presentation at the exhibition, which seems to like take over your last semester. Okay, so now I think we can explain each of the course. Sandra, would you describe the group critique?
Absolutely. Okay, so the group critique is a core part of the program, and it happens weekly with both your full-time faculty and guest critics. 2 students go per week for an hour and a half per critique. The work is installed, viewed in person, we gather in person, and we are basically talking about critiques of process and works in progress. X critique, which happens in the fall, is a sort of longer version of our weekly critiques, where we take 3 hours and critique the work of one student each week. And then we also have interdepartmental critiques, which happen on Wednesday throughout the year, where students from photo and painting and graphic design might be critiquing alongside sculpture students as well. And so the elective courses are taken in the second, third, and fourth semester. Minimum 3 out of 15 electives, sort of 15 elective credits, which is one class, are required to be taken outside the School of Art. And the sculpture program offers several seminars each semester, varying in courses and also program workshops.
Yeah, so the example of seminar, since Martin's here, maybe I can ask you what kind of seminar you offer. I offered, as a sculpture department, I offer a graduate seminar called Doing, which is kind of loosely based on how to learn from shared, like experiential kind of a skill share workshop the students run, and also I run, and a lot of field trip. And then another grad seminar I have taught before is called DAD, Duration, Audience, and Documentation. Martin, would you describe 1 or 2 seminar you offered, and maybe other seminar that you know that is exciting?
So we offer a number of different kinds of seminars and or kind of praxis classes for grads. Some of them are like undergraduate level, so to speak, in terms of their number, but we do because they're sort of specialized, we do allow grads in them, like this semester doing sound art, which is both, somewhat about theory and it's not really a historical class, but more about theory and practice. And then there's a course that I've done that's performance as object, which is a course that kind of tries to make bridges between performance, sculpture, installation, but not necessarily in any kind of specific way. There's no indoctrination, let's put it that way. There's no indoctrination of what's expected. I'm also I've done a class and will this coming semester, interdepartmental critique, which I like to have participants from each of the 4 programs, at least 2 or 3 from each program, and we do critiques, hour-and-a-half critiques for each person in order to like broaden our knowledge base, right, about what are the issues that painters talk about, what we learn from them, and so that it's the idea being that we're interested in well, I'm interested in, I think, sculpture by extension. I think there's a general interest of making the broadest building the broadest foundation for all our participants, so that when they're out in the world, there'll only be good surprises, hopefully, and not such bad ones. So those are the kind of things. Then there are other kind of seminars that happen in other programs, graphic design, photo, and painting, that are interesting. And we had Joseph Buckley do, instead of globalization, was called goblinization. He has a science fiction background, and he is interested in like ideas of globalism, but like sort of filtered through the lens of like horror in a way. So it's a varied program, and it changes every year. There's minor changes, and we also look to the grads to give us feedback, and sometimes we take that on board and we can put it into play, and sometimes we just can't, or it happens some years later. So I don't know if there's anything else you want me to say, Aki.
This is great. So that would be like a example. Obviously, there's more from different program, and maybe to add to it, there is other courses at Yale at large that people like to take. Sometimes a machining class, so you get to like learn how to like make a parts that move that might influence your kinetic sculpture. Or some people would take a choreography class, so they get to learn how to use their body. Some people take a more academic class, like a history of African American aesthetics. Or there was another person who took a class on like architectural ornaments from architecture school. So there's like a vast variety. Perhaps like when the students come in soon, they could tell us what courses elective they're taking.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a university that you have access to. It's not just the art school, it's a whole university. And sometimes you study with like the ultimate, the one of the top 5 experts within the field or something, in could be English theater, African American studies, history. People even start to venture into the sciences, some of the science courses. So it just is sort of if you're into schools, it's a pretty amazing place.
Yep. Okay. So up next, I could go over this quickly. Individual criticism is basically kind of like a 3 steps thing. One is you are signing up every week for one-on-one visit with core faculty and part-time visiting critic. So that would be like 40-minute studio visits 101, and then you kind of schedule on your own. Sometimes you want to have just one studio to just keep it low, and then when you have gearing up towards your critique week or after you put it out, you might want to pack it in, and then some people have like a 3 or 4 or 5 studio visits that week so that they could get as much opinion and discussion and variety of perspectives from faculty and the critic. And then you are required to meet with one of 5 full-time faculty at least once a semester, so that we could kind of keep a continuous conversation also, just because the visiting critic varies each semester. Okay, and the visiting artist lecture series is also part of this. It happens Friday morning, and this is a second year students propose their dream guest, and then we invite them and they get to host the artist either on the fall or spring semester of second year. And then after the lectures, the visiting artist also offer about 5 studio visits. So you will also be able to sign up for that. So that's individual criticism. And the thesis, Sandra, would you just quickly go over this? I think we're kind of over, so.
Yeah, sure. I'll do it quick.
Yeah.
So thesis projects, they begin planning sort of fall and spring. And we also have a new course offered that will sort of bring us through the entire process of thesis. Cohorts exhibit thesis were divided into 2 groups, which install in the main gallery, which is this gorgeous 3-floor space at 1156 Chapel Street. And while both thesis shows are installed, the department, which includes all of the grads, core faculty, as well as guest critics, come in, and we have 2 long days of individual critiques for each artist presenting.
Yeah, and this year we kind of we already know the reception date. The first group goes March 1st, and second group has a reception on March 29th. So if you happen to be in the States, or if you happen to be in the East Coast, or if you happen to be in New Haven, please come by.
Yes, please.
And I will quickly go over what we have. We do have Scupture program has each student will get a large private studios for 24/7 access at the 36 Edgewood building. It's certainly bigger than my studio, so it's some of them when you are second year. And it was certainly bigger than the first apartment I had in New York. Okay, and we also have wood shop, metal shop, and a laser cutter and a digital fabrication lab open at these are not 24/7, but they are monitored and supervised, but we are trying to have as much access as possible for you. Right now it's weekday 9 to 9, and weekend, and it's like could be a little less, but like you can imagine it will be open to. The shop will be closed for holidays or vacations, but otherwise it's really like very much heavily used shop we have. Print shop and photo labs are on the other complex, and then even though you are going to be in a Scupture program, you certainly have access. You just have to get trained to be there. Okay, and then also we do have an equipment loan and a digital lab at the Green Hall. That's also, if you're here, you can use and then loan video equipment and a camera type of things. A few pictures. This is the wood shop. This is the first floor, and then Scupture program studio. The Yale studio will be on the 3rd and 4th Street. This is the metal shop, the cold. And this is the welding, metal shop on a welding area. And this is the 3rd floor that you can, each of these doors is a door for your studio. You have your own key, you receive your own key. And this is a critique space, one of the critique space. So if you are showing your work, this is one example of one student's work that we would spend 90 minutes talking about. Example of a thesis show. This would be the gallery that Sandra was talking about, like a beautiful sunlight. Look at the sunlight. And this is one of the students' thesis show. This is another. This is huge. I think about like 8 people can fit inside that lip/boat that the students that weaved. This is the same space, but it could turn into more of a projection space. And across from that, we saw a stardust. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to our students who graciously agree to be here, and they probably are more fun than me. So hats off, and I will ask them, Brenda, Gozie, Jesús, Ivana, Elli, in that order. Like if you can share your screen now and show either your work, or you can just be bigger and show your studio. I think either would work, and it will be really great elective you are taking or you took in the past that really changed your life. Brenda.
Hey everybody, my name is Brenda. Welcome to Scupture. I'm a first year. Briefly about me, I came from LA. In my undergrad, I was at UCLA, and this is my studio. I wanted to show you guys my first crit sculpture piece. Hold on, let me flip it. There you go. So as Aki was saying, I did take a machining class where I learned how to make a kinetic sculpture. I have made kinetic sculptures before, but this time I am using a copper intestine mold that I made and shaped into a heart. And this mold was made out of intestines. And yeah, so the structure is a little bit big, but yeah, this is my studio. This is my little office that I have. And yeah, thank you for being here. Good luck on everything.
Thanks, Brenda. Brenda's also a student rep.
Oh yeah.
Brenda likes pink. Okay. Gozie.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Hi, my name is Gozie. I really hope that my presence is helpful to you guys right now. I'm gonna just screen share because studio is kind of a mess, but
That's
I'm
what we want
also-
to see.
oh yeah, you want to see that? Okay, well, here, let me just show this real quick. Wait. Can you also, okay, you can see that. You can see everything. I'm also coming from Los Angeles, from UCLA. I graduated 2019. You know, my work, I'm really interested in like this kind of idea of like multiplicity, fragmentation, relating to like the like Black subjectivity. I'm kind of into like working with objects, found objects, manipulating them, you know, reimagining them, or you know, trying to find some kind of meaning making in their use or in their disuse. Yeah, I'm really interested in this kind of like subject-object positioning of Blackness, and how that relates to these ideas of like new materialism, object-oriented ontology. Yeah, and you know, I've mostly done sculpture, but this is I did a performance last summer in Chicago, which was really cool. I also did some installation work. This is like yeah, I made this bouncy castle out of trash bags and installed it in all these different construction sites in Los Angeles that were halted. But yeah, that's the work, at least before coming here. And then if I like quickly, I'll just kind of like pan to my studio. I kind of got one of the biggest studios as a first year. I don't know if you can kind of see, that's a piano in there. That's fucking crazy. Excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to curse. But you know, I got a table, I got nice windows, wall space. It's kind of, it's pretty nice. Yeah, I don't know what else I should mention, but thank you for coming to open house. I appreciate y'all spending time with me.
Thank you, Gozie.
It was great.
Okay, Jesús here?
Hello, I'm here. Can you see me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jesús Hilario-Reyes. I'm a first-year student. I work all over the place. I've done performance, sculpture, land-based work. But I think I'd rather just show you all my studio. I don't have the studio that Gozie has, but they're all pretty big in general. So this is my desk area. I have a lot of my notes and references on the wall. This is some old work. I'm also a DJ. I've been working from this archive that I take of 3D scans of dance floors after a night of dancing, thinking about the process of making digital and this continuous transformation of material. I've also worked with like large scale land installation. It's really hard to tell, I'm sure, but on this camera, sorry, this is one of the pieces I made for my first crit, which was working from that archive and making a 3D mold from one of those tile scans, and then crystallizing with salt. I hope you can see the detail in that. But there's also, I've been crystallizing images as a means of blurring digitization or pixelation. This is another piece I made for my first crit, which is has a motor attached that gallops. Work in progress, but yeah, this is my studio. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Okay, let's hear from second year, Ivana.
Hi everyone. I hope you can see me, and I'll also show my studio. Oops, I knocked something. So I'm one of the second year. So our studios are quite huge, and I just turned on the lights, so hopefully you can see. The pretty things about second year is that you get to get one of the corner studios, and unfortunately now it's just right after sunset, but it's usually really bright in the morning, and I like to get to my studio super early to work here before it gets, while it's still quiet. I'm primarily working with sound, and I kind of have more experience in taking classes than maybe first years. Some of the classes that I would like to mention, I was taking a class in computer science, in engineering department, and I also took a class that was in machining shop, which is a co-taught class between engineering and chemistry, where you actually get to learn hands-on how to use some of the scientific tools and machining tools. And yeah, maybe I can share something cute. These are the knobs that I made in that machining class, but I use them for the knobs for the custom-made synthesizers and instruments. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ivana. And I think finally, Elli is another second year.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Hi, my name is Elli. I am a second year here in Scupture. I am from Greece. It's my first time living in the United States. I'm gonna show you my studio. I got one of like the smaller studios as a second year, but I think it's only fair because I get to choose first in the first year, and now in my second year I chose last, so I got one of the smaller ones. So this is the space. I've kind of divided into two sections. This is my working bench, and this is where I do all my mold making and the wax gassing. I usually work with material found in nature. Like I shipped this cacti from Greece, and I made sound work with it. And lately I am really into foundry and casting iron. These are some of the objects that I've been making. These are dolphin vertebrae that I've been casting in wax and later recasting in iron. And this is the negative space of bamboos. So we're pretty free in experimenting with like different materials and techniques. And as Aki said already, our shop is open like for most of our needs, and we spend a big amount of time in there. Some of the classes that I took that really changed the way I was thinking about my work were a movement research class with Emily Coach, and I also took a class with the School of Music. I am also a musician. I've been playing cello since I was a kid, so I could extend into like the into the School of Music, and I took classes about vocality and thinking about like sounds of the body. And I also took the critique class that Martin is teaching, and the dad class that Aki mentioned earlier. They were both great, and like an actual like a class you'd expect from like a School of Art, like really doing things in class and vibing with other students. So thank you.
Thank you, Elli. So this was our student, just 5 of them. So they are bigger, and then everybody is so different. So I'm glad we get to hear the taste of how amazing and different they are. Just a reminder, admission deadline, January 10. Please plan to do it much earlier. Financial aid is March 1. And this is the end of the official part of Open House. I really thank you for coming. And then I also thank you for our students and colleagues to join. I look forward to seeing your admission. I feel like whenever I go to studio visits, I still refer to some of the things that I saw from your portfolio. It's like, oh yeah, I think I can link what's happening here, because through the admission, I looked at your portfolio like so much that I kind of assumed how you would have made it. So like it starts to become part of the conversation. We kind of start this whole conversation about your work, like even though we're not face to face until interview, we're starting the conversation there. That's how I like to think about it. So I look forward to seeing your application.